It's been 1 year since I owned the Sony a6500, and it's about time I do my very own review on it, the pros and cons on this camera, and whether it's right for you. Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the channel. My name is Michael Frymus. I'm a Toronto-based photographer, filmmaker, and a YouTube content creator, all about teaching and inspiring other artists such as yourselves becoming better at their craft. This is going to be a 3-part video on the Sony a6500. The first one is going to be the review on this camera itself, all the pros and cons. The second video is going to be all about the camera settings that I use for filmmaking, so we're going to dive deep into the menu system. And finally, the third video is going to be all about the lens selections, so I'm going to be telling you different options there are and the lenses that I use specifically.
Let's just do what you want to. Please don't be polite, cause I like your attitude. Let's forget about a curfew, cause all that is stuck in my head. It's me and you, pulse speed and my heart is racing, but I'm not sure I wanna pace it, cause it only does this with you. Our bodies meet, I can feel the tension, move us into the next dimension. Let's just let our bodies be true.
The very first thing that I want to talk about is the size and weight of this. It's super small, fits in the palm of your hand. Everything about it is just perfect. It's a perfect travel camera. With that, since it's so lightweight and so compact, the good thing about this is that if you have any accessories such as tripods, or if you're using gimbals for filmmaking, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. Because the equipment isn't so heavy, you're not going to be requiring to use gimbals or accessories that support a higher capacity because this is such a lightweight camera. Although this is a very lightweight camera, it is actually built very well. It is super strong and it is made out of very strong and durable material. Unlike the other cameras that I have been using, they felt very plastic-like, and this is actually, it feels like super strong metal or aluminum or whatever it's made out of, but like it feels strong and solidly built. One thing that I really love with the a6500 is that there are a lot of customizable buttons. Not only does this camera come with a C1, a C2, and a C3 button, which are fully customizable, but you can actually honestly almost customize every button on here. And on top of that, there is also a function menu. So inside you have an additional 12 custom settings, which you can quickly access by pressing the function button and quickly change between different settings that you want to change within your camera. So overall, this has a lot of customizability built in, and it's gonna really help improve on getting your shots a lot quicker and accessing your menu. It's a lot faster just to click on the C1 or the C2 button or any other buttons you have customized than actually having to go through the entire menu, finding the setting you want and changing it, then just clicking the button itself. The Sony a6500, in my opinion, was the best in all forms for photography and filmmaking. For photography, it has about 24 megapixels. So with that, it makes really amazing images, such as the ones that I'm gonna show you from my last trip to Cuba, like this one, and this one. It shoots in 4K, but also it shoots in 1080p slow motion in 120 frames per second. So with that, you're gonna get really crisp, clear, smooth motion footage, which is super amazing, and I use it all the time for B-roll. So anytime I'm doing any talking segments or I'm doing a vlog and I want to cut in between different segments, different clips, then I'm going to be shooting a lot of B-roll in 1080p in slow motion. My favorite feature in the Sony a6500 in photo mode is its super fast burst mode. If I remember correctly, it shoots about 11 frames per second, which is super fast for sports or for wildlife photography, so you'll never miss that moment. Probably shouldn't be doing this, but listen to this. That's insane. So cool. Other cameras, they go a lot slower, maybe about 6 frames per second, which is okay, but for those critical fast action shots, this thing is a beast. But not only is it super fast in capturing your image, it's actually super fast in its autofocus capabilities as well. Not only in photo mode, but in video mode, it has amazing autofocus. There are different settings for the autofocus, so it depends on what you're filming, whether it's high action, fast moving shots, or whether it's something slower. You can vary on how fast or how slow you want your focus to be. If you're also considering the Sony a6300 and the Sony a6500, I'll tell you why this one is a better choice over the older model. First, if you're doing a lot of filmmaking, this one is going to be a much better choice because it has its in-body image stabilization. The body itself will stabilize your footage. Even if you're doing a lot of handheld motion, your footage is still going to become very smooth. The other thing about the a6300 compared to the a6500 is that the older model had a lot of overheating issues. With the Sony a6500, I've been doing a lot of shots where they're running very long for like 15 minutes in length, and I haven't had any problems with overheating. I never got the warning label, and the camera never shut off on its own. So that has been upgraded and it has been fixed on this camera. So those are the two main reasons why the a6500 is a much better choice over the a6300. If you are on a budget, I would highly recommend spending a little bit more and getting these two features fixed in this camera because it is so worth it. One thing that I really like is its Wi-Fi feature. So if you're doing photography, you can take your photos on this camera and then transfer it directly to your phone very quickly using the app. So you will get JPEG quality photos on your phone so you can quickly look at them and edit them to see whether or not I like it or to see if I need to do any other tweaking before I actually move on to my next shot. Although this camera has a lot of pros, it does have a lot of cons. There are a few things which I'm not really liking, and it really does bug me sometimes. The first is, well, this. It's not really a flip out screen. It only goes up and a little bit down, and it's pretty much useless, to be honest. Yeah, the only time I ever use it is when I put it on a gimbal and I just want to stick it out a little bit farther back, because I do have this eyepiece, which actually I'm going to link in the description below, because the original eyepiece that comes with it is very small and it actually hurt my eye. So this is actually a really good add-on bonus. Costs maybe $25, I believe, last time I checked. So it's really good. Comes in two different versions. I have the super wide one, which you can actually use with glasses, but there's also a different one with a different shape. But I got this one because it just covers my eye a little bit better. The other time is when I just want to crouch down and I'm just looking at my LCD. So I just tilt it up and I look down and get my shots that way. But I do wish it did have it flip out, because every time I am vlogging, I want to see myself. So really, I'm just guessing on my exposure and I'm guessing on my framing. So it is kind of a big deal, and it really sucks a lot. The other big problem is that when you're outside, the LCD actually dims so it doesn't overheat. So no matter how bright you actually set your display onto, the screen is always going to display back to normal settings. So it actually becomes very difficult to see in daylight conditions, which is actually why I use this eye cup. So if I am filming, I can actually just push it right against my eye and I can see looking through the electronic viewfinder. The other thing the LCD is very limited is on its touchscreen capabilities. It is a touchscreen, but you can't do a whole lot on it. You can't even zoom on your image to see how it looks like. I've been running into some problems where, like, when I'm shooting, taking like photos for instance, and I'm like my eyes right up against it, and for some reason I would like maybe my nose would touch the screen or my hand would accidentally touch the screen. I would always enable the lock feature mode so it would like track an object, but even though it was disabled, somehow it would always turn on and the focus would just not work properly. So I just completely got rid of it, and now it's just a screen and I have no touchscreen capabilities, so I mean, whatever. The other major thing with the Sony a6500, other than the LCD, that I really don't like is this thing. This tiny battery. This tiny battery doesn't last very long. It dies very quickly. I carry with me 5 batteries all the time. I don't ever use all 5 batteries in one day, but sometimes I go through 2, 3, sometimes 4 batteries if I'm shooting from morning till night. But just in case, I do have 5 batteries with me, fully charged in my backpack, ready to go. So if you are getting this camera, you have to get several memory cards. And I do use third-party brands. I'm not sure which ones these are, but they are a little bit higher capacity ones to the standard Sony batteries, and they're not as expensive. But what is actually really cool is that if I'm ever filming, I don't have to be like constantly turning off the camera, turning it back on, waiting for it to load. When I want to swap out the memory card, all I really have to do is I can keep the camera on, pop the memory card out, and put in a brand new one without a problem, without having to wait for it to boot up and start again. A problem that a lot of people have been running into, but I haven't really run into this one myself, is the rolling shutter issue. When you're filming and you're going very, very quickly left or right or up and down, you're gonna notice the image just bending like this. The reason this happens is because the sensor scans the image from top to bottom. Unlike film, which actually reads the entire image all at once, digital sensors go from top to bottom. If your image is moving from right to left, your image is gonna scan from top to bottom like that. So basically your image is gonna look like it's bending. This happens quite often when you see vertical lines in your image, such as a lamppost, and you're panning very quickly. There's a lot of bending in the motion. I try to limit myself on how quickly I move the camera so I don't get that effect. It is something you can fix in post, but personally, I just don't film anything very quickly, so I don't have to worry about that issue. One thing that I've been hearing a lot from every other Sony user is its complicated menu system. There are menus, sub-menus, and it just gets really, really confusing. When I first got it, I completely agreed. It was horrible. It was so confusing. I did have to spend a couple days looking through the camera, looking through all the menu systems, and configuring the whole thing. It did take a little bit of time comparing to any other camera where I can easily just go through the simple menu and just go out and shoot the very same day. But with the Sony camera, it did take me a couple days before I was comfortable enough to go out and shoot. The other thing that a lot of Sony users have been complaining with the Sony a6300 and the Sony a6500 is the awkward location of the record button. In my last video, which I'm gonna link right below, or maybe if you can see the little thing right here, actually, or is it right here? I'll see if I can get it. It's in a really weird spot where your thumb is, and you can easily press it by accident, but it's also sometimes very hard to press, very hard to find. So I actually did come up with a solution in my last video, which I'm gonna link down below, is attaching these little raised bumps. It has been a very big problem, but as soon as I got it, I realized I hated it, and right now it's working perfectly fine. I absolutely love it, so I have no complaints with the record button at all. Another pro, but also a con with this camera, is that it is an APS-C sensor. So the lens choices are gonna be cheaper, but then again, the image is not gonna be the best when it comes to low light. However, this camera can shoot at a fairly high ISO rating, which I haven't found to be the worst, so you can shoot in fairly low light, unlike other cameras that I've been seeing other reviews on, which is actually not the best. So comparing this one towards any other cameras within the same price range, this one has been one of the best, and it still is the best one I've used to date. Other than that, this camera has been fantastic. I've been using it for a year now, and I don't know, I love it so far. The small factor of it, the features it has, the customizability of it, absolutely amazing. I just wish it had that flip out screen that actually went sideways so I could vlog better. Battery life. But I mean, this is the best you can get right now, and it's totally worth the buy. If you can't afford to go full frame, then this is gonna be definitely the best APS-C camera out there, and I highly recommend it. It's just a beast, and you're gonna absolutely love it. There are gonna be a few things that you're not gonna like, but you're gonna overcome it, and you're gonna realize how amazing this camera is. if there's anything else that you want to know about this camera, anything that I missed, anything you want to know, any questions, don't forget to leave a comment below. Leave a like if you found this video helpful, subscribe, and come back again, because in the next one, I'm going to be going through the menu system, talking about what features I use and my settings for filmmaking and photography. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace!